So before I get into the subject of what's going on, thought I'd at least talk about the chicken coop and the chicken run for a minute. Obviously, we've got new chicks. I just showed you that yesterday. I've showed you several times, but yesterday I showed you the chicks again. Yeah, and they're in the camper growing up. Well, eventually they're going to have to come out here. And right now we got the bigger chickens out here. That's the rooster, the black one. And what we typically do when we get the chicks out here is we put the bigger chickens over here in this section and the smaller chickens over here. Well, then you have to house those smaller chickens. And we had a pretty good idea the last time we did this. We got this IBC tank. And so this works like a chicken coop. So at night they come in here and they can rest, just like this is a chicken coop for the bigger chickens. And the reason you have to keep the chickens separated is the bigger chickens will absolutely destroy the little chickens until they get to a size that is still pretty abusive. I mean, I don't like it, but until they get to a size that the two can mingle. Now, this fall, we will butcher these chickens and we'll only have the little chickens. And then they'll start producing eggs. The little chickens will this fall, and that'll give us chicken eggs all through the winter. And then next year, we'll do it again. We'll get more small chickens. And so you got to have some place to put the little chickens. So this IBC tank was our solution last time. And it worked pretty well. So there's a hole cut in the front. It's actually the top where the chickens can come into it. And then we have two sticks that run all the way through it. You'll see right here that they can use as a roost. And it works fantastic, but there's not enough room for the chicks when they get bigger. So for about, probably 8 weeks maybe, there's enough room in here for them to line up. It's quite neat to seeing them all lined up like that. But after that, then there's just not enough room, and then you got chicks laying on the ground, getting droppings from the ones up on the top. And so, and this thing's a little bit hard to clean. So Carolyn's redoing this. She's gonna cut the bottom out of this. We're gonna raise it up a little bit. Put blocks all the way around it so predators can't get into it and they can't get out. And of course, you got this metal cage, which would make it a little bit better so they can't get out. And then we'll put a fence down at the bottom. It'll make it a lot easier to clean. So then all you got to do at nighttime is train them to come in here. Eventually they get trained and they come in. Well, we got to figure out how to get more room, because this time we're not doing it the same way. Of course, we'll get rid of the roosters. So what do we have? 19 chicks up there. So you figure about half of them will be females and half of them will be male. So let's say there's 10 chickens. So then you'll have 10 full-grown chickens and then and 2 roosters, because we're going to keep the 2 roosters, which won't fit in here. So we have to figure out something else. So the original thought was, let's get another IBC tank. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting another IBC tank. We was going to put right here, and we were going to cut a hole in this one and cut a hole in that one. That way they can just go back and forth to whichever side they wanted to go. But that's going to cost us several dollars. I forget what we paid for that one. But it also had this epoxy in it. And it took forever for us to get that epoxy out. It was some sort of fiberglass epoxy. It smelled like paint. And there was just all kinds of fumes to it. So we had to clean it out before the chicks got in there, and it still stunk when they got in there. So I was a little bit worried about them, but they survived it. So Carolyn said, hey, I got an idea, I want to do something. And then when she got the idea, then I went ahead and gave my suggestion on it. And before you knew it, we had a plan put together. So her idea was, for whatever reason, she just wanted to move this out of the way. So she said, let's put this in the chicken run, just get it out of the way. And I thought, well, that seems silly. Why do we want to do that? This is her greenhouse. Now, we're carnivores now, so we don't grow a garden anymore. So she used this quite a bit. And now it's just become a storage area of all her gardening supplies. But we don't garden, so it keeps getting blown over, and I don't feel, neither one of us want to get rid of it. So what do? So let's put in the chicken run. Well, I said, well, if you're gonna put in a chicken run, let's make it part of the chicken coop. So what we'll end up doing is taking that down there and sticking it where I showed you, I pointed to the entrance of the IBC tank. We'll cut a hole in the back here, stick that up against the entrance. That way they can come in here, go through into the IBC tank, or they can make this part of their coop as well. This will go inside the chicken run. That way predators couldn't get into it. The chickens can roost on the shelves here. I don't know if they'd want to roost here, because then of course droppings would drop down on them. But you could have, I don't know, probably 4 chickens, 5 chickens up here roosting. Put a stick across the bottom one, so you could have 4 or 5 chickens, maybe, I don't know, maybe even 5 chickens, 6 chickens roosting here, and then another 4 or 5 chickens roosting up here. That would provide a lot of room. Plus, whatever was left over, the amount of chickens, could go on through into the IBC tank. Now, this is something I talk about regularly on this channel. Just talked about it yesterday. Use what you have. Don't go out buying new stuff if you got something that you can use. So we could spend $75, let's say, on a new IBC tank. Bring it home, try to clean it. Under all kinds of pressure and stress, and having to go out and call the guy because we don't like talking to people. Or use something that we have. I know that my audience, a good portion of my audience, I should say, feels like our place looks like garbage. So they want us to go out and buy new things and clean everything up, and go buy yourself a proper chicken run instead of using tents that you can get at, what are they, canopies for camping. Don't use IBC tanks. Go out to Orscheln's and buy one of those chicken coops that they sell out there for, $1,000. Well, I just don't see the point going out and spending a bunch of money on things. And I know a lot of YouTubers do it. I mean, most YouTubers, in order to grow their channel, they go out and buy tons of equipment, huge tractors, huge backhoes, huge everything, building things on every project, and every day is a production. Well, I just don't want to work that hard. I don't see the point. The whole point to coming out here was to relax. So I think that we should just try to reuse things that we have. I know yesterday's video, I'm sure it was a troll, but yesterday's video I was talking about making a torch out of these propane tanks. And here's a little video clip of that you can refill 1 pound propane tanks. And I never understood why I wanted to refill them or even buy them in the first place. They're terribly expensive. You got to buy all these components and hope that you get them right, and they're expensive, and you got to piece it all together. And you're turning your tank upside down. This never gets full. It's only like half full once you do it, unless you dump cold water over it for like 45 minutes. Now, I have a buddy heater. I also have a Coleman camp stove. I have a generator. I'm trying to think what else I might have. I guess I have 2 Coleman camp stoves. And I got all kinds of hoses that hooks up these Coleman camp stoves and the buddy heater to a propane tank. These have 2 different types of threads. You have a thread that goes in the hole, and then you have a thread that goes outside the, like, typical. Well, some of these hoses go inside and some of these hoses go on the outside. It really doesn't make any difference. The only thing you got to remember is if you're going to use the inside thread, it turns backwards. I got to figure out how I can use a torch from my wood stove without a canister. So I'm going to hook this hose up to the tank here, and I'm going to do something absolutely incredible, where I know everybody in the world is going to think that I need to check myself into a mental institution, but I think this is probably a safer and an easier way than filling up these stupid cans. Everybody talks about how safe this is, but then says I'm the idiot for doing it this way. So this is empty. You might be able to hear a little bit. I don't know if I can get it. No, I'm not going to be able to get it to light, especially in this wind. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take this, I'm going to screw it right here. And it is just that simple. Instead of going out and buying all kinds of components that you don't really need, it's a one-use item, why not use the stuff you already had? So last night, I ran out of propane in this thing. So I went down to the camper, grabbed the buddy heater, took the hose off, and I turned it on. Now, again, you really got to open this knob real slow. Okay, I got noise. And now I have a torch. I actually got comments that says, you don't get the point. I had one genius try to lie to me. I live in a camper van. Well, I knew where this was going almost instantly. And the point is you don't want to be dragging one of those 20-pound tanks around with you everywhere. You want to take those little 1-pound tanks. And then you just fill it with the 20-pound tank. So let me understand this. You're trying to tell me you don't want to drag a 20-pound tank around, but you're dragging a 20-pound tank around and 21-pound tanks. Because you got to be able to fill it. If that's what you're telling me, you want to fill it from a 20-pound tank, so you're still dragging it around. The logic of people, I truly don't understand. I would say, try to minimize your life. Reuse what you can. Use things that have multiple purposes, which was the whole point of that propane video. So I hope I can inspire you to reuse things so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.